Hello, everyone. Good evening. How was your weekend, everyone? Welcome to another 100% stay at home session. And happy World Health Mental Health Day. Hope you guys are taking care of your mental health properly this weekend because we all deserve a break. Deserve a break for our mental health. So today we will have a lively conversation with Julie Nederkoorn, the project coordinator international support at Movies That Matter, and we will talk about human rights film network. So if you guys have any questions regarding what is the Movies That Matter, what is a human rights film network, and why a human rights film festivals have to network with each others, you can ask the questions directly into the comment box or the questions box. So without further ado, let me invite my colleague Julie to this chat. Okay. How's your weekend, guys? Hi, Julie.
Hi, Farhan. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm good. Excuse me with the background noises because I'm still in the office today.
No,
And how are you? How's your weekend?
I'm good. How are you? Good evening to all of you in Indonesia, and good afternoon to the people who might be watching from Holland or actually from the world. I mean, that's possible as well, of course.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. So in Indonesia, there's a saying that tak kenal maka tak sayang, that which means that you cannot love he or her, you cannot love him or her without if you don't know him or her. So please, could you introduce yourself to the audience tonight?
Of course, it will be my pleasure. So my name is Julie Nederkoorn, and I'm working for Movies That Matter, which is a film festival in the Netherlands each year in March. It's an annual festival, and besides that, we also actually do a lot of international activities. We have our own education program in the Netherlands, which is
Ah,
hosted
interesting.
but also separately throughout the year actually. So besides the annual festival, we also have a lot of activities that run year round, and not only in the Netherlands but also internationally. And I've been working with Moves That Matters for 6.5 years now. So quite a
Wow, it's such a long time.
yes, very long time. Yeah, so I've been involved in the festival for those 6 years as well. And of course, the last two editions have been held online as well, unfortunately. And hopefully next year we'll be able to go back to cinema and to welcome the audience, welcome international guests. So keeping our fingers crossed, not only for us but actually for all
Amen
festivals.
for that.
Yeah, because the 100% Manusia festival will be online this year, right? Or
Yeah. Actually, we haven't disclosed that to the audience. So if you guys will want to know the how about our festival this year, so keep up on our social media, guys. So Julie, can you tell me what is Human Rights Film Network, and I mean, how did Movies That Matter started it, and why did you guys make this? Is it an organization or is it just some kind of group? Please elaborate.
The Human Rights Film Network was actually founded in 2004 by 17 human rights film festivals. So it was co-founded by Moves That Matter along with some festivals that are also still running actually. So it has been existing for like 17 years now, and it was created because there were a lot of colleagues from film festivals well, for instance, in France, in Poland, in Italy, in Switzerland, that we're working together because we're all like screening films about human rights and organizing discussions about human rights topics, about the films, about the content. So then in the end they decided it would be good to form a network and to actually, because they were already working together, but to actually like formalize it a bit, to create the Human Rights Film Network, to emphasize how important it is to screen human rights films all over the world, and to work together, to give each other tips, to share, to show solidarity to each other, but just also to show the world that it's important to screen human rights films. Um, So that's why in 2004 the network was created by 70 members, and actually currently there are 44 members of the network worldwide. So it's been growing every year, and still every year we get new requests from film festivals wanting to join the network.
Ah, I see. So, uh, is there some kind of benefits why human rights film festival have to network? Let's say.
Well, I mean, like as for every organization, for every film festival, it's important to network, right? To make sure
Yeah.
people know about you, people know that you exist, by inviting people, by inviting other festivals. But also, I mean, we share a lot, for instance, about film tips. Sometimes somebody wants to screen a film about a certain topic, and they consult with the others. We also, I mean, you also work together, but it's also a way of when somebody is in need, that you can actually help out and well, to show solidarity to each other as well.
Yeah, I see. So, is there can you tell me how, if we let's say I'm a new human rights film organizers in, let's say, in other countries. So can you tell me how can we firstly started it? How to firstly networking?
How you can become a member of the network, you mean? Or
Yeah.
I mean, it's you can also, of course, see all of this on the website humanrightsfilmnetwork.org. Just a little promotion for the website. You can also follow us on Facebook. On the Facebook, also all the members share their submission deadlines, for instance, also when their festival will take place. And to become a member, your festival needs to have had its second edition of the festival. And then afterwards, you can join the network to make sure that.
Okay, I'm a little bit lost with you, Julie.
Are you?
Okay, now.
Yeah, is it better now?
Yeah, yeah. Is it better now?
Perfect. So I was saying that you need to have had your second edition of the festival to make sure that members who become or that festivals who become a member are actual festivals who are still taking place. Um, and then you just send in your application to the secretariat and the board of the network, indicating why you would like to become a member, and some information about your festival, and also the long-term ambitions of the festival. And then during the annual meeting of the network, the new memberships are discussed. And then we see which members we invite to become a member of the network. There's like a small participation fee annually for the network to ensure that we can continue the website and to help each other out, and to also to maintain the website, of course, which is like €100 for people in the global south, and €200 for like the European and Western festivals. So each
Okay.
year, it's been growing ever since. So each year we are having new members that we're able to welcome.
Okay. Other than yearly events, is there some kind of monthly, annual events, or let's say some mentoring sessions, like one-on-one between film festivals and to another human rights film festival in Human Rights Film Network?
Well, like I said, I mean, there's great solidarity actually among the network members. So if there's anybody who would like to get advice on something, or who would like to get in touch with a filmmaker or with a distributor, there's always somebody willing to help out. And in that sense, there is some sort of mentoring. And also, as Moves That Matter, with our international activities, we not only have the festival in the Netherlands, but we actually support a lot of human rights film festivals worldwide with grants, but also with workshop programs. And in these workshop programs, you get to learn also a lot about how to organize a human rights film festival. And also, for instance, that's also some sort of mentoring with the Human Rights Film Network. We actually go
Ah,
with this book. It's a book on setting up a human rights film festival, and it's
I
not.
think it's available on MTM website, right? I think I read it before.
It's indeed available at the Moves That Matter website, but also at the website of the Human Rights Film Network. So this book was it was co-edited by some of the human rights film festivals, and it just contains a lot of inspiration, a lot of examples of how the Human Rights Film Festivals, how the Human Rights Film Network and the festival members create their own Human Rights Film Festivals. So it has context also about like, why do you want to organize a Human Rights Film Festival? What is the goal of your festival? What would you like to achieve? What are the objectives? But it also has like tips and tricks, for instance, on security and censorship, on how to program the films, where to get the films. So it's just full of examples and also case studies. There's also a case study from the Freedom Film Fest in Malaysia, actually. So it has a lot of case studies, well, serving to give inspiration and to show examples of how you could organize it. But of course, it differs per local context, of course, like how you organize it. But it's just full of inspiration and examples. And like I said, it's available online on the website of the Human Rights Film Network. It has also been translated into French, into Spanish, into Italian, Chinese even. So also to make it more available for local context.
Wow, amazing. So if you guys want to know how to set up a human rights film festivals, you can visit the Movies That Matter and Human Rights Film Network website and download the ebook for free.
Yes.
And Julie, I couldn't help but wonder what kind of technical issues or problems that usually faced by the members of Human Rights Film Network.
Well, I mean, of course, like not in every context it's easy to organize a film festival on human rights, because in some countries, unfortunately, it's still a sensitive topic to talk about. So also in that sense, it differs per country how you have to deal with the government, with the municipality, if there's a censorship board where you need to run your films by. And also it happens, unfortunately, sometimes that the organizers of the film festivals are at risk. For instance, I'm sure you've all heard about the issue that the Freedom Film Fest in Malaysia faced, because they also produce short videos. So they produced this short video, and then the director of the film festival and the animator of the short video they had to report to the police, and then their offices were raided. And then, the Human Rights Film Network, all the members, they show solidarity. So we set up a campaign urging them to not to bother them with that they had to go to the police office, and that they to drop the investigations and the intimidation. So in that sense, it's also providing some form of security, because you belong to an international network that will help out if there's an urgent issue at need. And for instance, also earlier this year in April, there was also an issue with one of the members in Belarus. The director of that festival was also arrested because of the work she was doing for the film festivals and also for other activist-related activities in Belarus. So then we also set up a campaign with the Human Rights Film Network, and also other that was joined by other big festivals internationally, to put pressure on the government in Belarus in that case, to get her released. And in the end, she was released. I mean, she still she cannot leave Belarus, and her husband was brought and couldn't go back to Belarus. So the situation still is not resolved. At least she was released from prison, and I think it partly had to do with the campaign that was hosted by the network. So it's also, in that sense, a form of protection, a way of protection.
Yeah. So in your experience, will networking make a direct impact on the human rights conditions where all the networks resided?
Yeah, I think in that sense, if you can show that you're part of a bigger network, that you're not just alone. I mean, it is also gives perhaps some to continue doing what you're doing, because you know that there in other countries there's also human rights film festivals being organized in difficult circumstances. So I guess that really does give a form of security, but also solidarity, and the feeling that you're not alone. And I think it can also, like, by showing that you're a member of of a bigger network, maybe it will help actually to change the human rights situation, because you can show that you're not alone, and that well, that there's others also organizing screenings on human rights films followed by discussions.
Yeah, that kind of support is really really helped the Human Rights Film Festival, especially the organizers, because we have some kind of charm, and we have some kind of boost that there are people out there that will help us. It's
Yeah, and
really
also
really
right in that it's important to talk about human rights and to screen these films.
yeah. So I couldn't help but wonder also, uh, from hearing your stories, did you have some kind of, have you ever, have some kind of fatigue on dealing with the Human Rights Film Festivals, because you know how tricky and complicated it is, and with the story that you just have told, it's so it really took a toll on your mental health. It really took a toll on your mental health.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think that's everybody who like organizes a human rights film festivals and sees a lot of films about human rights. You can get a feeling of depression, because I mean, in so many countries, well, human rights violations are violated. The freedom of press is limited, of course. That's why I was also so happy to see that actually two journalists the Nobel Peace Prize for their important work on the freedom of press, both in the Philippines and in Russia. That's also a big sign of solidarity, of course, for the freedom of press. And I think like organizing a human rights film festival also helps to, well, to encourage freedom of press and to have free expression. But at the same time, also sometimes because the films about human rights, they are not only depressing. Sometimes there are also stories of hope, because there are also stories about people for a better world, for better human rights conditions, for better conditions in their countries, or for the environment, for human rights. So it's also stories of hope. Well, of people doing just that actually. Yeah. And most of the time, it's also, I mean, it's also good cinema, so that makes it also nice to see. But there should be a bit in the program, of course, of a human rights film festival.
Yeah. So, well, from all these 6 years, what makes you still stand tall in and firm and confident of organizing movies that matter and others human rights film festivals?
Um, I guess to see that, for instance, that every year there are starting more human rights film festival, um, and I think that's encouraging to see that people are interested in cinema, in human rights and in human rights cinema. And I think we also have to be mindful that not all cinema about human rights is necessarily super heavy. I mean, there's of course very many films about human rights that are really. I mean, it can also be fiction films, of course. It can be fiction films based on true stories. It can be documentary films, even animation films. But there are so many differences, and um, I guess also you can also say human rights film, but you can also say it's a socially engaged film, and that makes it also
Ah,
maybe a bit different. It's a human rights film.
yeah. It makes it, in a sense, it makes it feel a little bit lighter.
Yeah, exactly. So it's also a matter of framing, I guess, like how you frame your festival, right? And for instance, Movies That Matter, it doesn't have human rights in the title of the film festival, and also your own festival, 100% Manusia.
Ah,
That's
yeah,
also, of course, I mean, it's 100% human. It also films talking about humans, what humans do, what they fight for. So that also gives a lot of inspiration to me still.
yeah. Thank you. So, yeah, the titles and the how we frame our festival is really matters for the audience and the way they see the festival. Okay, speaking about human rights, there are questions from audience. Hi, Julie. I would like to know whether human rights is still a sensitive issue in where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, in the Netherlands, I mean, it's of course different from the situation in Indonesia, but also in the Netherlands there are people who look differently at certain topics. there's also still lots of discrimination in the Netherlands. And not everybody looks the same towards these topics as well. So also in the Netherlands, it's still important to screen human rights films and to make people aware of the situation, not only in the Netherlands, but also the situation worldwide, and also to show to people that that I mean, yeah, you have to look across borders as well, right? And not just narrow yourself down to your own country.
True.
It'll, yeah, I mean, it can also be an inspiration and also a mental support to see that people in other countries are also fighting for human rights, are also organizing film screenings, are also into human rights cinema. So yeah, I think it's important, no matter where you are, no matter what the human rights situation is in your country, to still see these films and see these stories and be inspired by it.
Okay. Thank you, Julie, for the answer. So on to the next question. So networking also means working with other parties, such as an educator. We realize that Movies That Matter also works with schools and educators. How is the school educators' receptions to the program? Why?
Yeah, so indeed, like at the Movies That Matter festival, we have screenings for schools. So the schools actually visit the festival and they come to the cinema. But also year round, that teachers can actually rent the DVDs at our organization, and they also get like teaching materials and teaching aid to actually discuss these films and the topics of the films with the students. So they can either do that in the classroom, but they also can do that in cinemas throughout the Netherlands. And actually, we get a lot of positive replies from teachers to be able to use cinema and to use like the power of storytelling to talk about it with students, because as we all know, I mean, film is such a powerful medium. It's way different from reading a report or reading a book about something or getting a class lecture by your teacher about a topic. If you look to the screen and you look to the cinema, you know, your emotions are touched. So that's why it's, of course, such an important and powerful medium of storytelling, of getting your message across. So yeah, and actually also there has been like an investigation and research about our education program, and there one of the big outputs was that the most impact is created if you visit actually a cinema and see the film in the cinema, rather than seeing it at school in your normal environment, because you get to go with your class to the cinema. So it makes a much bigger impact to see it on the bigger screen. But then still, I mean, also it's also used a lot just in regular classes at schools itself. So in general, there's a positive reception of teachers and schools on the programs that we give. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is a very interesting program between you and the educators you work with. Can you tell me why do you want to work with educators in the first place?
Well, also one of the good things, if they have to go with school to the cinema, they get to see films they normally might not see, because they normally might not go to a human rights film by themselves. But if they go with class and it's like part of the curriculum of the schools, then they sort of have to go. So I mean, it's within the school time, so they don't really have a choice to say, okay, I'm not attending, I'm not going. But it's also, you know, it's the future, you know, children and kids going to school. It's the future, so it's important that they also get to see those films and discuss these human rights topics. So that's, yeah, I think it's very important to at least try to involve students, high school students, primary school students, to also make sure they see human rights films.
Okay. Okay. Is there any some kind of results that says that if you work with educators, that it will give students more understanding, more deeper understandings of human rights issues?
Yeah,
from your
definitely.
experience?
Because it might, I mean, it might not be something they look for themselves. So if they go with school and they go with their class, then definitely that has an impact on the way they look to the world and the way, the way they view human rights and the way they view themselves, but also their surroundings and their environment. So I think that definitely has an impact on the children.
Okay. So Julie, I will go back questions from the audience. It's
Mm-hmm.
from Mama Berbra. So it asks, "Hi Julie, I was attacked by fundamentalists or being raided by the government."
I think I lost. I think I lost you, Farhan.
Okay,
Can
sorry,
you?
sorry. So there's yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, is it better now? Let me change places. So the signal is good. Okay. Hello. Okay. So I think there's a little bit technical issues on the signal. Let's just invite movies that matter back. Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Sorry for the technical issues. So can you hear me now? Is it better now?
Sorry, I think something went wrong on my side. My apologies.
No, no, no. It's okay. So there's a question from our audience from Mama Berbra, and she asked that what can support that movies that matter can give to those case. Sorry. Hi Julie, I was wondering, can movies that matter give support if any of Human Rights Film Festival is being attacked by a fundamentalist or being raided by the government? What can support at movies that matter can give to those cases?
So like I said earlier, also with Move to Matter with our international support program, we support human rights film festivals in the global south. So for instance, twice a year, they can send in an application for our grant program to receive some financial aid as well. And then we also always try to see in what other way we could assist the human rights film festivals. Um, I mean, from the Netherlands, we cannot interfere, of course, in the local situation, but we can always try to see if we can support and try to give tips on how to deal with a government that is not so much into human rights. So we always try to see how we can help in that case. But in the end, of course, the festival is organized by the local organization and by the local people who in the end are responsible, of course, for the organization of the festival. But sometimes it can help, for instance, to invite a government representative to one of the after talks of the
Yeah,
festival, of the screening of the film, to make sure they are involved. And then also, again, it's also a matter of framing sometimes. Like if you frame the festival as a hardcore human rights festival, or you frame it as um, that you screen films about social issues or socially engaged cinema or things like this, then it might also be give a different reception. Are you are you still there, Farhan?
oh, sorry. I think there's a little bit signal problem here. Okay, now I can hear you well.
Okay.
Okay, so back to the questions regarding the educators. So, I mean, in Indonesia here, many of the teachers still considering that human rights is a very, very sensitive subject, and it's a little bit taboo to speak about it in the classroom. So how can we convince educational institutions on how to network with the film festivals, and because as educators can spread awareness on human rights more wider and deeper to the next generation. On movies that matter experience, what did the first step you guys do?
Well, I mean, there's of course the possibility to invite the schools to the festival, or to actually go to the schools itself and organize screenings there. Maybe you could like frame it as socially engaged cinema, or screening films in the class and talking about the topics of the film, without specifically mentioning human rights. Or you could also, of course, find allies, find organizations who work with children, maybe not necessarily in the schools itself, but to organize like screenings where children are, where kids are, and go actually to your target audience instead of asking them to visit you. That's also sometimes a way of getting more easily access to your target audience by going to them instead of asking to come to you. So I guess it's a step by step movement actually, and well, try to find allies that are into films for change, or films for a better environment, or it's also, yeah, like I said, a matter of framing perhaps.
Yeah, sure.
And we
So,
actually supported also in the past
yeah,
a lot of film festivals who do also educational screenings. And I guess like almost every member also of the Human Rights Film Network also organizes screenings, either in schools or for schools or with schools, or they present it also maybe as like small workshops to make your own film, to get familiar, with the topic of film and how to do that. That's all, could also be a way of getting them involved and getting them interested.
I see. So, uh, I have a little bit of a technical question. So, is your film choice affect the partnerships with the educators or with the school partnership?
Sorry, you mean who makes the decisions on the films?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's say if for school you choose only some kind of family films, or films with age rating of 30 plus, some things
Yeah,
kind of like that.
yeah. Our colleagues from the education department, they also have worked as teachers themselves in schools, and of course they look at the age range of films and whether a film is suitable for children or kids to see. And
Yeah.
they also involved in the selection of these films. And they also do test screenings with students to see like the reception of the films by the students, if it's a match or not. But you can also, of course, involve teachers in making these decisions.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. So we also realized that MTM's widened its networking to activists to spread their message that you guys give some spaces in your festival for an activist. What are the different ways a human rights film festival can provide a platform for activists? Because in our festival, we usually invite them to be our speakers in a post-screening discussions and talks. In your alternative, in your experience, what are the alternatives?
Yeah, I mean that's of course great, to invite the protagonist of the film to join the screening and to join the Q&A afterwards. That's of course one way of involving the protagonist and the activist. And I think that's also a very important one, because usually directors of the film get invited to film festivals or to screenings, but not necessarily the people who actually do the work on the ground and who are actually
Yeah,
involved in the
true, true.
topic. Yeah, so that's also why we, like in 2009, created the activist program at our film festival, which presents documentaries about human rights defenders, and we invite those activists, those human rights defenders, to the festival in The Hague. So they will be there for 1 week, and of course they join the Q&As after the films and the screening, so they get to meet the audience. But they also, for each one of them, we organize like a personal impact and network program. So we link them to organizations in the Netherlands who work on similar topics. So for instance, they visit Amnesty International, they visit our Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I mean, depending on the topic they work on, we see what organizations there are in the Netherlands who are like beneficial for their work. And we also try to set up lots of media interviews for them to also get more attention for the important work that they do. And then after the festival, we support the outreach of that film. So we have conversations with the activist and the filmmaker to see if they already have plans, for instance, to screen the film in the home communities of the activists, so that not only people at film festivals get to see the films, but also the people in the country where the activist is from, to also stimulate that the films are to be seen there. So that's also a way to support the cause of the activist. Are you still there, Farhan?
Wait, I think I have a little signal technique. Sorry, guys, it's just raining here, so the signal may be interrupted by that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So as for one of our fast safe space for everyone, including activists, can you share us a tips on how a human rights film festivals can be a safe space to others too?
So yeah. Usually at a human rights film festival, you can of course meet like-minded people who are also interested in the topics, and also for instance, for the activists, by also inviting other activists and other protagonists from other films. They also feel the solidarity among the group of activists and among people who are like fighting for human rights as well. So that also creates a safe space, and also by screening these films and bringing it to an international audience, it also provides a form of security, because the more people know about these topics, the more security it brings for the activists that they're able to continue their work actually. So usually, well, it can be safe spaces for people to meet to talk about these topics. Did you get what I was saying? I think it's still raining there.
Okay. Can you hear me now, Julie? I'm so sorry for the signal interruption.
No, no worries.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I think I lost you again.
Okay. So I was just gonna asking regarding your activist program. Is it accessible for public human rights film festivals to access it?
So what we also usually do after the festival is that we present these films to other human rights film festivals. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
So we make the select these films available for human rights film networks or for human rights film festivals that we support. So they also have the chance to screen these documentaries on human rights defenders. So in that way that these films are also to be seen in countries where it matters, and also the countries of origin of these activists. So yes, in that sense, that program is also available worldwide if the films get to be screened at other film festivals. Yeah, but I mean, with the online festivals, it's usually geo-blocked. So the films that were screened online in the Movies That Matter festival were only to be seen in the Netherlands, like with many film festivals, that the films are geo for that specific country. But by visiting other film festivals, you also have a chance sometimes to see these titles.
I see. Oh, I also forget that in order to make a create network between Movies That Matter and other film festivals, you also create um I think it last month of Cinema Without Borders. Can you explain us also about that?
Definitely, yes. So our Cinema Without Borders program is a workshop program for film festival organizers, and it brings together both starting and more experienced film festival organizers who get to share also among each other because everybody has experience, of course, and has things to share. So, for instance, last month, or actually it was in August, we organized a workshop program together with the Activista Film Festival, they also participated in an Instagram live video a month ago, I believe. Um, Together with the Activista Film Festival, we organized the Cinema Without Borders program for Southeast Asia. So it was available for film festivals from Southeast Asia. And we had like 14 participants, and they shared a week long. It was online, unfortunately, of course, because of the COVID situation. But usually it takes place offline at a film festival, so you also get to experience the festival and to learn a lot more and to share about how to organize a human rights film festival. So all elements and aspects of organizing a festival are taken into account in these workshop programs. Um, if you're interested in that, also please keep an eye on our website and social medias because we will be organizing new programs well next year. So I think
Okay. So
also
is it the fight?
a colleague of you also
No.
participated in the Without Borders program, so I'm sure she told you all about it.
Yeah, one of our actually our festival director is also participant in this year workshops, and thank you for the invite also
Yeah,
for
of
that.
course.
And I think it's a really good way for us to connecting to other film festivals in Southeast Asia as well.
Yeah, because that's how you also get to learn, right, about other human rights film festivals in the region, and well, that's also a way to start networking, of course, by visiting these kind of workshops and these kind of programs, but also by like as a festival to invite other film festivals to your own festivals, for instance, to be a jury member or to give a workshop or to attend a masterclass or well, things like this. That's also a way to start building these networks. And I believe also with the Cinema Without Borders programs, it's also a way of creating regional networks. Also, for instance, 3 years ago, we did a similar workshop program in Argentina. And then at that time, it
Ah,
was focused in the America region. And there like the WhatsApp group of that Cinema Without Borders program is still active. People are still like sharing opportunities, sharing film festival dates, other updates. So it's still, it's a way to start a network. And I believe also with program for Southeast Asia, that can be the case.
Are there any yearly focus for that workshop, or is it everyone worldwide can join during the festivals, maybe?
Yeah, we organize Cinema Without Borders usually once a year at our own festival in the Netherlands. And then usually it has a worldwide reach, so participants from all over the world can join. And then sometimes we do these regional approaches to focus it on a specific region. But it will all be announced on our website and our social media and our English industry newsletter. So if you're interested, then please subscribe also to that newsletter, because it gives a lot of also information about other human rights film festivals all over the world starting or getting a grant and asking for submissions. Yeah.
Yeah. So since you mentioned about grant, can you explain us can you inform us what are there any grants that human rights film festivals can apply to, or anything else?
Yes. So with our international work, we support human rights film festivals, and they can, for instance, of course, join these workshop programs, but also apply for a grant, which is specifically meant for film festivals or mobile cinema screenings or community screenings. So it's not for film production, but specifically for film festivals and the screening of human rights films. So twice a year there's a deadline for the grant program, and we have 2 grants available. We have a startup grant, which is for starting festivals in their first or second edition, and we have an impact grant for like festivals that have been running for a while but would like to add new program elements or reach a different target audience, or do other things with the festival to create and enhance the impact of their festival. So there's two types of grants. Usually each year we support around 20 film festivals or film or mobile cinema projects worldwide, which are to be found on our website as well, if you need some inspiration or if you would like to see what type of festivals are usually supported. So that's of course also a way of network building and to be part of the family and to be also to be seen by others. Yeah. And I'm not sure if there's any filmmakers watching now, but you can of course also submit your film to the Move to Matter Festival.
So tell us.
Yeah. So
I just found out that you can also submit your films to Movies That Matter. I just know that.
Yeah, I mean, like besides of course supporting human rights film festivals, we also organize our own festival, and we're in the middle now of selecting films. So if you have a film that has been finished in 2021 or will be finished in 2022, you can submit your film to the Move That Matter Festival. I think we accept submissions until the 21st of November, so still 1.5 months to go. So if you have a film about human rights, the environment, or justice, then please do submit it to the festival.
Okay, hopefully all the films makers that send our live sessions today that will submit their films to the Movies That Matter festivals. So Julie, is there any program from Movies That Matter in the near time that is open for public worldwide related to human rights film festivals?
Well, for instance, we will be like, you can submit your film now. We will be having new openings for the grant program and the Cinema Without Borders program. And that's also, I mean, you can also check out the website of the Human Rights Film Network to see if there's a festival starting soon in your own region, because usually most of the films are only available for, well, for the specific country. So I think I would advise to check out the Human Rights Film Network website to see what is available near you actually.
Okay, so when's the next grant program open? Because I think that will benefit for many of human rights film festivals, especially if there's any organizers come.
Yeah, so the next deadline of the grant program will be in April 2022. We still have to set the date, but it will be announced in our newsletter and also, of course, on our website, movesthatmatter.nl, and on our social media channels. So if you keep an eye on it, we will make sure that as soon as we know the deadline, that we will announce it there.
Okay. So thank you so much, Julie, for coming to do our live session today, and apologize for the signal disruptions because it's just finished rain here, and the signal always blurred every time there's a rain in Indonesia because we don't have a strong network facility. And okay, I think a little bit lost here at the signal.
No, thank you so much for hosting me today and to give me the opportunity to tell more about the Human Rights Film Network, but also Movies That Matter. And it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys too. So if you guys want to know about Movies That Matter, about the grant that will be open soon, about how to submit your films to Movies That Matter Film Festival, please visit moviesthatmatter. Please visit their website. I think it's moviesthatmatter.com, no?
.nl.
I forget domain.
It's moviesthatmatter.nl and the Human Rights Film Network.org.
Yeah. Please visit their website once in a while because I'm sure it will benefit you. And don't forget that we will have our next week 100% human right, 100% at home sessions, and check out on our social media for the next schedule. So thank you so much, Julie, and again apologize for the signal disruption. And have a great weekend, Julie.
No worries at all. You too. Have a great evening, and thank you so much again for hosting me.
Thank you, Julie.
Okay.
Bye bye.